Hi, I'm Fall. I'm a cosplayer, actress, and model from Sydney, Australia, and this is Spotlight. Cosplay has always just been something that's been fun for me. I've definitely done like cosplay like catwalks and stuff before, but I've never really done the competitions. Mostly just because I've always wanted sewing to be something that was fun and didn't feel like a chore or work. So finding out that there was a whole group of people dedicated to recreating amazing costumes from like fandoms that I've been a part of since I was a kid was just like, oh my god, like absolutely I need to be part of this. And I think around the time I started, like there wasn't really anything online. Thankfully I had my nonna, who was a professional seamstress. She used to work in shirt making factories when they first moved here to Australia. Was able to get some help from her and learned some of the basics. And then YouTube was such a clutch resource. Just being able to look up online, find tutorials from people who were so generous and like not only sharing like their time but also recording it, editing it, like voiceovering, like made friends that then spiraled into making plans with those friends, getting recommendations into more shows, then like planning costume like groups and all that sort of stuff. And so it just kept spiraling from there, where it was just like the more I got involved, the more I got involved and got to meet like-minded people who wanted to have sewing days and hang out days and shoot days and stuff like that. So it really became like a hobby that kind of then just helped me find a community, find the community in there as well, and then also my smaller community within that. I had a friend who I knew through cosplay, who knew Deerstalkers because they were very well known at the time at that place for making cosplay videos where they'd go around to different conventions and take really cool like panning shots or action shots of people's costumes and then edit together. And to be on one of these costume videos that they made was to be like, oh, I've made it as a cosplayer. It's a really awesome offer for me to hear, hey, do you want to audition for something that these guys are going to be making? It's a scripted series. It's based on Dungeons and Dragons, which was something that in that meantime between not being into fantasy as a kid and then me now as an adult, I had caught up. I had read the Harry Potter series. I hadn't watched the full Lord of the Rings at that time, but I was getting there. But I was starting to build up my cred again with the fantasy space, and then auditioned for it and then got the role. I think initially when I was auditioning for her, there was a voice that I put on because my abuela, because I'm half Italian, half Argentinian. So on my Argentinian side, my abuela she was also an actress. She had this voice when she would tell me stories when I was a kid about this granddaughter and her grandmother, and the granddaughter's name was Adela. And she would put on this voice that would be like, Adela, come help me, like little things like that. And so I was just like, I think just as a throwaway part on the audition, I was just like, I'm just gonna use that voice. And so I think it was very much just like, like, oh no, your house is falling apart. That's so sad. And kind of doing things like that. And I think that's kind of where they started to see Nixie sort of forming. Started off kind of like with that aspect. I think also Nixie being a shortened version for Phoenix was also a thing that I kind of just like put together. I was just like, well, what kind of makes sense for a firebug? And then Phoenix was like, oh, that sounds fun, but I was like, oh, Phoenix is too on the nose, and so I thought maybe shortening it and making it sound cuter was a better way to go about it. I loved the idea of someone being so psychotic and yet so like cutesy, just a chaos gremlin. She just really enjoys like the power, like the feeling of that freedom in anarchy, I guess. Because it's kind of very much that feeling of just being like, you know, like who writes the rules? No one really writes the rules. Like all spells are made up.
Burning Blast, Fire Hands, you made those up.
Yeah, well, aren't all spells made up?
You know, she's kind of just very much got that mentality of just like nothing really matters. We all got to design their costumes. So the first season, so the first set of costumes we all made ourselves. So I made Nixie's first costume, I think within like a week. And that was just because I had like ADHD procrastinated till like, you know, the week of, and then was just like, shit, this is something that, because at that point in time, like it wasn't even something that like was supposed to be like a huge venture or anything. Like we were just going to be doing 1 episode or 2 episodes and then like just put up online and then just kind of be like, all right, that was cool. Like that was a fun project we all did. But then it grew and it blew up and it was just like, oh, okay, like maybe we've kind of got something here. And that was when it was like, okay, now we got to update the costumes, because a lot of these costumes, well, especially mine, I don't build mine to last. I build mine to be able to be on a con floor, to survive getting there and back, and then maybe a couple more con floors, and then like it's time to retire, or like I can fix it up a little bit, like what have you. I was very lucky that I was able to hand the costume over to Eva, who then became the wardrobe for most of the costumes from then on. I first heard about D&D back when I was in university, when I was part of those acting like troupes. It seemed like a lot of people were having a lot of fun with it, and so I was like, okay, it sounds cool, but I didn't really have people to play with at that point in time. So then once I had kind of left that university, I was working in a corporate setting, but the people I was working with who were illustrators were just like, oh, we're gonna be doing this thing called D&D and maybe you'd be into it because you're kind of an actor. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, like tell me, what do I need to do, like, well, what's it all about? And they, you know, helped me build my first character. Nobody warned me that a druid was a terrible idea for a first character, but I did pick one because I loved the idea of being able to turn into animals. Made my first character, played my first game, and fell in love with it. Was absolutely just in awe of the like collective storytelling elements of it. Then I got into another campaign. That one lasted for about 3 years, DMing a few like one-shots here and there. And then constantly kind of fell into that pit of like planning a bunch of stuff, like getting like your players kind of starting to get them sorted, and then like the actual thing just never kind of formulating or like, you know, happening. Where would I be 5 years from now? I mean, I still want to be working as an actor. I hope that the types of projects is quite varied. I'd love to also maybe be writing my own projects. I think, I guess, like looking outwards, probably I'd want to do more with my activism side. I've kind of written down for that this year. I'd love to do more with, like, you know, helping replant native flora back in parts of Australia. Thank you for watching Spotlight. I've been Fall. All my socials are down below, and we'll see you soon.